Alright, we are back at the garage area. I have swapped out trailers and I am going to working on this wooden planks order. So I got to deliver to the railway station, which is just over to the right there. Wooden planks times 5. So let me hop into the map here real quick. I probably should have already done this, but let me get my... I think I'll go this way, actually, maybe this time, instead of the other way, down to the sawmill. And I believe the wooden planks are one slot a piece, so I should be able to pick up all 5 in one trip. So let's head down to the sawmill. I did jump in while I was at the garage. I jumped into the menu, and the Taiga has all-terrain tires, I think, and off-road tires are locked at level 11, and I'm at level 10 right now. So as soon as I get about 4,400 more XP, I can get new tires for this, and the jump at off-road tends to be actually pretty significant from my previous experience, like with the Fleet Star going from, and even the Pay Star, going from the all-terrain to off-road tires is a pretty big deal. So hopefully that'll help a little bit. So I'm going to do a few more missions here in Russia before I head back to either Michigan or Alaska. Maybe might scout around a little bit here and try to find a new scout vehicle before I go. I guess I could use the... If I go to Alaska, I guess I could just use the Hummer as my Alaska scout vehicle. So I know from my previous playthrough, I did go... I think I may have mentioned in a previous video, I did go a little bit more... I think I'm heading off in the wrong direction. Yeah, why do I do this? I don't set enough nav points, and I get myself turned around, going the wrong direction. In my first original playthrough, I was like very aggressive about going and finding like the best trucks or whatever. And so I ended up heading to Alaska fairly early on in that playthrough just to grab the Hummer, and I think I came to Russia and grabbed the Azov and kind of stuff like that that I will not plan on doing this time. Alright, yeah, I'm heading the right direction. So yeah, so now I'm in, into the... Oh. Just got hung up on a... It's got to be a... Yeah, it's these crazy routes. They're just surprisingly difficult. Alright, where do I want to winch to? Wow. I really could use some better tires, and the lift for this vehicle for sure would help as well. Because there are 51-inch tires available for this vehicle as well. But of course you have to have the lift to use those. So you need something farther away to winch off of. Is there anything else I can reach? Let me try getting myself moved a little sideways, see if that helps. Certainly this trailer is not helping a lot. I don't know if like the winch is not powerful enough or it's just not a good angle. Let's try... Let's try winching the trailer backwards. Oh, I just broke off whatever I was winching off of. Oh, I'm like buried. No wonder I'm stuck. Alright, got myself out of that mess. And I am still headed to the sawmill. So, we will hope we can make a little better, more productive time from here. But anyway, I think I was mentioning before, yes, I really would like to get the better tires on this truck for sure, but also the lift. So I may do a little research. I always kind of hate looking stuff up online. I'd rather just find it in the game, but... Uh-oh. Hung up on something again for a second. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there's definitely... the trailer is definitely causing me to get hung up a bit more easily for sure. Because this truck, when I just had the flatbed on it, was a complete beast. But once you're towing a 5-slot trailer, it obviously adds to the difficulty, because the trailer can get bogged down or hung up on a root or a rock as well. And it's not even loaded yet. I mean, wait till I get the wood planks on here, so... But that is alright. It doesn't help driving in the dark either, but it's part of the game, and I will try not to skip time if I can avoid it. So, yeah. So I think this is just yeah, I think there's a tree that was down there. There we go. Yeah, so sometimes when you hit those trees, they'll stick you up for a second, and then they kind of disintegrate, and you can continue driving. It's a little bit of an odd kind of game mechanic, in my opinion, that they tend to... I guess the idea is that you're like breaking through them, but for a split second they tend to kind of hang you up. Ugh. Yeah, and I think I got myself turned around a little bit, and I'm actually kind of on the lower route to the sawmill, which means I have to go through that really wet area. I don't know. It's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because what I call like the upper route has a lot more curves and kind of S bends and kind of switchbacks and stuff like that. And then this route has a bit more of the deep water. I did go off-road here on purpose. I'm trying to skirt around some of these puddles here. So that wasn't just bad driving. I have no problem admitting when it's bad driving, but that was somewhat intentional. So yeah, making a little better progress now that I'm out of the kind of wooded area. Still a very muddy road. I know there are several other trucks in Russia that are very useful too, like the Azov. I forget what number it is, but it's like I believe it's a twin steer truck actually, I think. So one that kind of looks a little bit like a fire truck on the front end. Alright, we're going to go around this puddle a little bit as well. Kind of avoid that. And I think the sawmill's coming up pretty close now. I think we're almost there. There's that random damage you sometimes take where it doesn't make sense. Not really sure what I hit, but there's only 5 or 6 points of damage to tire and suspension, so not a huge deal. Is this the sawmill coming up here, or do I still have a little ways to go? Yeah, there it is. So right here. So I need wooden planks times 5, and then I'd basically drive right back to where I came from, because the railway station's right there by the garage. Plenty of fuel left, I believe. I don't know that there's fuel around here anyway. Alright, what's the best play here? Can I drive around? Just wondering if I should get turned around before I load the trailer up. I guess I can kind of drive through. There's kind of a drive through here, so I will go ahead and pick up the cargo. Wooden planks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. All right. So now the trick is getting back. Let me set my nav points while I'm at it. So I'll come out here. And where am I going? Back this way. Okay. So I will go back here. And then, yeah, so this is the road I came up, and I intended to come on, I guess, more this road. I don't know. Let's try this, though. We'll do this. So the key for me is always setting lots of nav points. Like, if I try to get too loosey-goosey and say, oh, I know I'm just going in this general direction, I tend to get turned around too easily. So I will just set more. It is what it is. All right, and then once I get up to here, I kind of know I'm going down this way to the railway station, whatever they call it. All right, so fingers crossed. This is hopefully a easier route to take back. And hopefully the sun comes up on the way back as well, because it would be nice not to make the entire drive in the dark. But we will if we have to. So yeah, there is a couple good scout vehicles, like I mentioned, on this map. Or it really depends, I guess, if I want to go from here back to Michigan and do some more work there, or if I want to do some Alaska stuff. It'd be nice to unlock the chain tires for Alaska. Although, I mean, so there's some areas, and I think maybe not. I think I only really ever played around on the first map in Alaska in my earlier playthrough. I don't believe I ever went to any of the other ones. And I think you can get by without chains in the first map. It's when you start to go from there into the other maps that you run into some areas where there's like pure ice and you really have to have chains. But there's some good trucks over there too, some good larger trucks. Like I think the Dairy Longhorn is, I think that's the name of it, is super popular, and I believe that is a truck you pick up in Alaska. So I do really like this truck though. I could see continuing. It's just got a good combination of capability and stability. Because that's the other thing that isn't really clear or isn't built out in the specs of a truck is that kind of tippiness. There's no spec for how easily a truck rolls over. You just have to kind of get a feel for it from driving them. So like that Azov I mentioned earlier, that truck had a tendency to be a little bit more tippy, especially if you throw, I mean, obviously it depends on what you're using it for. If you throw like a utility body attachment on the back, like any truck's going to be fairly tippy for sure. Because I think I have, what's the other truck I brought? I'm blanking on, not the Paystar, I forget what it's called, the Fleet Star. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Yeah, whichever truck that is. I brought that over here, and I used it to recover this truck, because that's one of those repair missions where you have to repair and refuel the truck to get it. All right, I'm stuck on, looks like roots again. I hate those roots. Can I back up? Yeah. All right, let's just try to go around these a little bit. I was trying to avoid going through the worst part of the water, but those roots are actually worse. There we go. Yeah, it was kind of nice. I off camera I recovered back to the from like the it's not the warehouse, wherever I was in the previous episode, where I built those sheds. Uh, there's a trailer store there, so I was actually able to sell that semi sideboard trailer, and then I went back to the garage and picked up the semi flatbed. Both of them are 5 slots, but the flatbed's a little cheaper. So that was kind of nice. I know in the earlier game, back in Michigan, I ended up with trailers kind of strewn all over the map. So it's nice to be able to just kind of turn them in. To the best of my knowledge, trailers still sell for the same price that you purchase them for. Whereas trucks, I believe, now there's a slight penalty for turning over trucks. So if something's like 33,000, I guess maybe you get like 30,000 when you sell it. So there is actually a hit. That was not the case at release time, but I believe they patched that in as a little bit of kind of nerfing the economy a little bit. Otherwise, you could just buy a truck for a special, like for one mission, and sell it, and there was no penalty for doing that. And I hit roots again. Stupid roots. Let's try going to the left here and go around them. Uh-oh. Ooh. Felt a little tippy there. Yeah, so I'm okay with that. What I was just talking about as far as like the trucks not... I mean, that's pretty typical in most games like this where you buy vehicles. You usually don't fully recover if you sell them. There's usually a penalty. So I think it makes sense. It's consistent with kind of the genre in general that you don't just get, buy and sell for free. So it's weird. I've noticed a couple times that, like, when I get hung up on a route, like, winching just does not help. It's like you can't pull yourself through it. And I don't think I even have the stock winch. I think I have the medium extended winch on this one, so it's not like the heaviest duty one, but it's also not the stock one, and it just really doesn't seem to help at all when you are hung up on the roots in particular, like rocks and just mud. Obviously, you can definitely do some help with the winch, but the roots in particular seem to be especially tough. Yeah, even fully loaded with the 5 slots, I feel like this is going fairly well on the way back. No complaints so far, just those few. And I think the other thing too with the roots is like when you hit the roots and you get stopped, it's pretty critical that you kind of back off or take corrective action immediately. If you try to plow through them, you can really get yourself in a bad situation. So it's kind of critical to almost immediately stop and reassess and figure out how you're going to go around them. There we go. Alright, looks like I'm kind of... am I veering right here? Yeah. This is also going smoother because I'm not getting lost, because I actually set an appropriate number of nav points. Surprisingly, it's still like pitch black. I have commented on this in a number of videos, why it feels like it's night for longer than it's day in this game. I don't know. It just does. It always feels like it's longer at night. Come on. Alright, now I'm back on relatively solid ground, so I should be good. This truck is just really impressive from the fuel perspective. I mean, some of the really good trucks in this game do have that, but like the Paystar, yeah, that was one of the early game trucks that I really liked, and it just guzzles gas. So it's a great truck, and in the early game, I feel like there's fuel stops everywhere. There's trailers full of fuel, or there's multiple fuel stations on some of the early maps, so it's not that big of a deal. but it does tend to be very thirsty. All right. Okay. 260 more points of experience, $2,700. Looks like it's getting light out. Perfect. I know that was a little bit short, but since I'm just kind of getting back into the videos, I am going to call that a part, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.